Thank you. My colleague had asked about mining interests. I'm interested in the issue of oil because Nigeria is a very large petroleum state, and there's been many allegations over the years about environmental abuse, dislocation of peoples. There was a report done uh, in the last decade on Royal Dutch Shell arming gangs in Nigeria, targeting, torturing, killing people living in the creeks and swamplands of the Niger Delta, and paying, in one report, over $159,000 to a group that was linked to militia violence. So we've been talking about uh, the religious fundamentalists, the terror gangs, criminal gangs targeting the people. Ms. Azuma, what about the allegations that companies who are benefiting from the massive oil wealth are engaged in targeting and human rights abuses?
So yes, it's true that a lot of focus has been on the northeast and northwest because of Boko Haram, but the environmental violations, environmental rights violations by the big oil companies continue to go on in particularly the Niger Delta region of Nigeria. And you have entire communities that are still dealing with issues of oil spillage, and the companies are not taking responsibility. And there's also been less and less media reports about the activities of the armed groups who are working in the creeks. And sometimes the companies try to project it as arming the groups to protect their facilities. And you also have the Nigerian government also adopting such approach by paying one of the notorious commanders in the creeks. And these are non-state actors to protect the oil facilities. So it's a bit of a strategy that has created a problem because if the government can do it, then the companies will argue why they also cannot adopt the same strategy. But of course, these are issues that are affecting those in the communities and affecting livelihoods. And it is going on. It's been downplayed because of the various issues of Boko Haram in the north, but it's still going on in the Niger Delta. It's still a very big issue that needs attention.
So you're saying that these aren't historical allegations. This is what is going on today, and that the hiring of so-called security to defend facilities are these armed gangs. If that's the case, are they defending the facilities, or are they being used as the front lines to push people off their lands and to cover up, to silence people who are dealing with the environmental devastation of the oil production?
So I would say both, because you have organizations on the ground who are covering these issues, and there are lots of efforts that are being made to silence the people and push them off their properties because of oil, the oil is being, they're carrying out tests and trying to pass their pipes. So it is ongoing. It's true that it's been long. The only difference is that now there's a lot more awareness. A lot of civil society organizations are creating awareness among the people. So there's also sort of a coordinated effort to get the people's voice, unlike what you had, for example, last decade or 2 decades ago. And now we also have judgments at the ECOWAS court at the regional level against some of the big companies, for example, Shell, mandating them to clean up, but not necessarily addressing the issue of attacks, physical and violent attacks against the people and against communities. So this is another area that a lot of focus needs to be put on. But yes, it's ongoing, it's current.
Thank you very much for that. I guess I would ask in my closing time, we are seeing right now around the world as a result of the war in Ukraine, huge levels of inflation, growing insecurity, food insecurity, and yet it's compounded in Nigeria with attacks on farmers, communities, the violence. And there's real questions that have been raised that we've heard about issues of basic things like malnutrition. So, you have an opportunity here to tell legislators in Canada what role we can play. What do you think Canada can do in a practical way to help people to try and stabilize the situation, keep people safe at this time in Nigeria?
Just a brief response, please. But feel free to fully answer the question.
There needs to be an end to the violence, and the violence continues because they enjoy impunity. And so Nigeria has had a lot of time to work on this, but we've seen that they have been either unwilling or unable, and we've seen more largely unwilling. And so the key thing is holding Nigeria accountable, but actually investigating the crimes, holding perpetrators accountable, and yes, bringing an end to the violence. I think that really is the key. And Nigerians are smart enough to work out but and also the implementation of the laws that already exist in the country, the implementation of the good laws and the and the repeal of anti-blasphemy laws and similar.
Thank you.